Okay, everybody, we are recording live. Tonight is February 19th. It is our second Growing with Wildtree call. Thank you to everybody who's live. And if you're listening to the playback, thank you for investing in the playback. I'm going to quick post a reminder in our group page. And while I do that, does anybody have a question off the bat? I know Tammy has something she wants me to cover, so I'm going to cover that. Even if she doesn't call in, I'm going to cover it for her. Does anybody have a question right off the bat that they want to make sure they get answered tonight before I go into some training and before we celebrate your guys' progress? Anybody have a question that they need covered tonight so that we don't miss out on doing it?
I just had one thing come up with the Facebook party, and now she wants to do a workshop.
Yep.
So we did the Facebook party in the back office as a tasting.
Mm-hmm.
So now we'll do a workshop.
It'll be all separate.
How would I link that then?
You can't.
To the net, like to people that ordered that day.
Then it will be a workshop tasting. So you have to do a workshop next.
Right.
Workshop pre-order, and then you'll link it to a tasting.
Okay, so it will let me link it to a new tasting later.
Yeah, it just can't be linked to this. This cannot, because you did it as a tasting. Yep, it's just one and done. Does that make sense?
No, and I just wanted to make sure, since it's already in as a tasting.
Yep.
Now,
yeah. You just
we
leave
can do
it.
a new one later, and that can link.
Yep, you can put the hostess's name in, do a workshop pre-order, and then link it to a tasting. Yep, good question. Okay, awesome. That was easy. Anybody else got another one? Anyone? How about anyone got anything exciting to celebrate on this? What are we, a little over halfway through the month? Who has something they're celebrating? I know Vicky's got sales and parties going on. Katrina's got stuff she's celebrating. I know Sarah, we were just talking about a party. So I know some of you have some exciting things going on. Who wants to share some things that are going on in their business? Hey, Jenny, I see that you just joined us. Welcome.
Hello.
This is Sarah talking, and I've got a bunch of orders that I need to just finally submit for February. I'm still waiting on a couple people outside of workshops to finish up what they want to order. But then looking ahead to March and April, March is crazy busy with workshops and tastings on the weekends. And then there are a couple for April also. So just trying to work things around my sister's wedding, bachelorette party, bridal shower, all of that kind of stuff. So it's going to be pretty nuts on this end, but I'm looking forward to it too.
That's awesome. Sarah, are you feeling good about the balance, and are you feeling like you're starting to find a groove that this is doable around the rest of your life, if you will? Because I know you work full-time as a teacher. So, and for everybody that doesn't know that, Sarah wasn't on the last call, and you can't see her tonight. She's called in, but she works as a teacher, 4th grade, right, Sarah? 4th grade?
Yep.
And so are you starting to feel now like you're finding your groove? Fill me in kind of on where you are in the whole group.
I need to cut it off. Like I feel like I do it almost too much, and I need to make sure to give my daughter, our time when she's home and awake and, outside of school. And I need to make myself stay up a little bit later to get stuff done, because I feel like I'm doing it when she's awake, and I need to not do that as much. But it is definitely manageable, to do in your little pockets of time. And I don't know, at school, I just need to be careful to make sure that that's about school and stay focused on my stuff there, because it's easy to get super jacked up about stuff going on with Wildtree, and then school stuff kind of starts to slide. And so I'm still working on the balance part of it.
Okay,
honestly.
Let me give you, we're all celebrating you. First of all, I saw everyone smiles when you were sharing your calendar and what you have going on. Yep, Vicky's cheering you on. But I do want to give you a little tip. So each time you guys share, I'll give you a little tidbit that might help you. And these are things I wish I would have known. Have a little notepad, Sarah, that you carry with you all the time because you work outside the home. And you got to just learn to shut it off and keep that prioritized. And if the list gets real long, like let's say it's a busy week where you have parent-teacher conferences or whatever, and you're not really working Wildtree much, then when you come back to that notepad, you might have to take a green and a yellow marker, and you might have to highlight 3 things that are green that have to get done right away, and 3 or 4 things that are yellow that should get done in the next 48 hours. And then the rest of it, you'll just pull in as you can. But a notebook helps me when I'm supposed to be off my phone and with my husband during the short gaps of time I get with him. I use a notebook in my kitchen, and it works great. And I use one that I don't care if I rip pages out of, because sometimes I'll rip a page out and I'll take it with me to a doctor's appointment. And while I'm sitting in the waiting room, I knock out 6 of those things. And like your guys' names will end up, I'll think of Katrina, like, oh my gosh, Katrina and I never connected last week. And I'll write her name down because I shouldn't really text her right now because I'm with Nate. but I want to make sure I touch base with her at some point. So just a little tip for you. I don't know. It's not the end all. I mean, obviously you're going to have to find what works for you as far as balance. And it's good to hear that you're feeling excited. And also I think everyone would shake their head and agree. It's great to know that you have that much potential business pooling into your business, that it's keeping you that busy, but you will have to figure out that balance. And it comes the more you realize like, oh, I can do an invite in 10 minutes. I don't have to think about this right now. Like I can focus on live and reading, and I can do that invite after bedtime. So that would be my advice to you.
And I need to do to-do lists. Like I need to make them and stick to them because I get overwhelmed with everything to do, and I just need to write a list.
Got it. Okay, awesome. Okay, who else? Who else has something? Thank you, Sarah.
Of course.
I'll share.
Awesome. Katrina?
So yesterday I had my one and only party for February because calendar wise I haven't been so good. But I was really riding on this party so I could book some more parties. And I got one more booking in the same area, Milwaukee area. And
awesome.
I also had a lady order 2 workshops and a half off bundle. I was really pretty excited about that because I feel like I'm really helping her, especially because her husband is blind. And so just helping, like we chose the slow cooker one so he could just take the freezer meal out of the freezer and just throw it in the slow cooker and make things really easy for them. So
that's so awesome. So
awesome. Way to go.
I also want to quick comment, Katrina, on what you had typed in the Coconut Club post really quick. So I think I'm starting to figure out your biology, which I haven't really understood which of the 4 you were, but I loved hearing you say, okay, I knew I had some things to work on in my demo. I worked on them. I'm feeling better. And now I've got to get back on track and I've got to work on those bookings in that calendar. Cause that's right. That's exactly right. Like if you don't do that, you know what happens, right? Technically your business sign goes from open to closed without events. So I was so proud. I just wanted to cheer you on and tell you that was so great. And I had one of the other leaders that's in that Coconut Club message me tonight and say to all of us leaders, they said, who's Katrina's girl? And I said, oh, she's on my team. And then they said, that's really cool that she had that awareness that there was something in her demo that she wanted to improve, but you can't just not keep going. You have to keep going or else you're not in business, and you can work on your demo all you want, but you don't have parties to do it at. So kudos to you. I just wanted to say that was a really cool compliment from everybody. So, okay. Vicki, do you want to share anything? You don't have to. You just.
I'm trying to figure this out. Sorry.
That's okay.
No, I mean, I had a pretty slow February too. I did one Facebook event, which I thought I wanted to just see how that was, and not my favorite, but I know what I would tweak, I guess. And then the one workshop, which was getting my feet wet. So now I'm ready to go. End of March is looking good. April's starting to look good. So I'm just ready to get rolling here. I'm a slow and steady.
That's okay. That's perfect. I love that you're trying things out. You're being flexible. You're listening to your hostesses. You know, one wanted to do a Facebook party, and even though it's not your preferred, you let them try it. And that's like me and tastings. Everyone that knows I don't love tastings, but I have a lot of hostesses that want to do them. So you have 2 choices, right? You be open and you grow with the opportunity, or you be closed-minded and you scare them away because you want them to do a workshop and they don't want to do a workshop. And now your Facebook party, you should share with everybody what happened. She loved it so much that
it started with a text saying she's just going to order a workshop every 3 weeks because she wants to do this. This is great. This is a time saver. And I said, well, you should see if you can get 3 or 4 people and we'll do a workshop. That way you would get yours at least at a discount, and if you could get more people possibly free. And she's like, yeah, I should do that. Yeah, let's just pencil that in. So excuse my voice. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's fine.
So we went from a Facebook party because she thought she had no time to now we're going to pencil in a workshop. So
that's awesome.
Crazy.
Yep. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So a couple of things I wanted to cover Tammy's thing. Tammy's not on, but I got to Zoom with her earlier tonight. I got to see her. She has beautiful curly hair, you guys. She's from New Jersey. Last time she had just called in, so we didn't get to see her. And that was my first time actually ever seeing her like live. So it was really fun. We did that at 6:00 tonight. And one of the things that she is struggling with, she's really improved, Katrina, her demo. She's starting to have good sales at her tastings, but she's having a hard time selling the workshop concept in New Jersey, where she's all on an island all by herself, basically. And she's also having a hard time with recruiting. And so I just wanted to give some coaching. So if you're in one of those boats where you're having a hard time selling the workshop concept, or you're having a hard time with recruiting, maybe some of these words will help you. One of the things that I did today that I don't always do, but I got down on my hands and knees and I held open the workshop kit. And I said, so you don't have to be a workshop person. You don't have to love meals in your freezer, but I want you to just see that if your wish list is growing really long and our 200 plus products are totally overwhelming you, a workshop kit can just be a way to select today what you're going to start with, basically 7 or 8 full-size products, and then have all the recipes and stuff in front of you. And I don't know why that felt so comfortable today, saying I can help you shop off your wish list. Again, you guys all know I have them flip over a blank calendar and make a wish list. The wish list is huge for sales. Or you can just pick a kit. And 3 kits I sold today at a tasting. And I was like, woo, woo. And I don't think I did anything different. And all of those people also purchased a couple other staples, or they purchased a 50% off bundle because they saw the deal. So kind of like Katrina shared, I felt like I really helped those people, because it's easy to buy the dill, the taco, the Alfredo, but then you don't really get a ton of recipes in that immediate moment, if that makes sense. But with the workshop kit, you do. So whether you want to make it fresh or for freezer, you get it. So sometimes if you are going to a lot of tastings and you're trying to get into a workshop crowd, some words that you could use is, this is no different than if you were to pick out 7 or 8 products out of the catalog. The only difference is this comes with a shopping list, directions, stickers, etc. And it's really just preset for you. So think of it kind of like a mystery box. We did the picking and choosing and put together an awesome bundle, and you don't have to make any decisions. So if you're here to drink wine tonight and have a good time, pick one of these 12 bundles or 11 bundles once Easy Breezy goes away, and done. Okay. So something like that concept. You also can say, guys, I'm going to be honest. I'm looking for the next person to open up their home. Again, I don't use the word host a lot. I use open up their home a lot in my demo. And I'm looking for somebody that wants to do that, to make meals with their friends. And even if you don't want to make them that night, I'm looking for somebody that wants to kind of showcase this kind of party to people because it's new in this area. And that's okay to say in any area, because you guys, I was in Oshkosh today and nobody in the room hardly knew a Wildtree, and those that did had never been to a workshop. So it's okay to use those words. So is that helpful to you guys? Just shake of heads, yes. Or if you have a question, jump in. Sarah, I think Jenny's on the phone. I'm not sure anymore. I can't really. We've got someone else on. 9. Who's on the phone line? Sarah and who else?
It's Jenny.
It is. Okay. Did you leave and then come back?
I tried like the Zoom app and it made my phone restart. And so then I called in.
That's why. I was like, what the heck? Okay. So really quick, Jenny, if you missed it, I was just covering, Tammy is not on tonight, but we Zoomed earlier and she's going to watch the recording back. And I wanted to cover 2 questions she had asked me. And this is all recorded, by the way. So if you missed any of it, you can watch the recording later. But she had asked me about getting workshops in an area that right now nobody knows Wildtree really. She's in New Jersey. And so I was just giving some tips on that. And then the second thing she asked about was, she's just having a hard time recruiting. And I think a big part of it is, so Tammy, I'm talking to you. You are feeling like you're on a lone island, even though you aren't. And once you attend your first in-person training, I think Vicky and Jenny and Sarah, you guys were all at spring kickoff this last weekend. I'm sure you guys can attest that once you see other people, it already puts puzzle pieces together that you didn't even know were missing. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I think, Tammy, you're making great strides by going and attending a foundations training. Tammy's got an opportunity out by her, an hour from her house, to commute and train. So she's going to go to that. The other thing I would tell you all, and for some of you that were at spring kickoff, this may sound repetitive, but we all need to hear it lots of times. It's all about what you think about the business. You know, it seriously is like, if you believe it's worth it, it's worth it. I didn't for a long time. Like, I thought I was too good. My college education and my career salary were like better than this industry. And so that's like what I portrayed at my parties. I actually don't even know how I got my first recruits, because I don't feel like I was really asking them. I think my crazy lipstick and gym clothes must appeal to somebody, because those are the people that joined me in the beginning. But otherwise, I literally have no idea. Now, of course, I talk about it to everyone, right? I'm proud of it. Working on even outreaching at the grocery store and saying simple things like, hey, like, have you ever heard of Wildtree? Like, I come in here every week, and I just thought I would finally share this with you. I have no idea why I've been keeping it a secret. That comes naturally. But if that doesn't come naturally to you, the one thing you can control is how you view the business. So if you think the business is worth it, then you have to stop using the word pushy. And this is a lesson I want you all to take right now in this Growing with Wildtree group. You've got to stop even thinking that. Because if you really care and you really aren't being pushy, you don't even have to think like, oh, am I being pushy? I push the envelope sometimes. I actually do push some people. Tiffany V, she used to be a member of Wildtree in our team, and then she took a break, and now she's messaging. In fact, she's messaging me right now. I've got Facebook messages from her, and she's asking me if she should come back. That's somebody that I can push. She obviously wants to be a part of the Wildtree community if she was a rep, not a rep, asking me if she should come back. So I can push it there. Does that make sense? But if you're talking to somebody who you're just not quite sure, give them facts, give them options. That's powerful. Give them options. They're not used to that. They are used to people in our industry just simply saying, you should sign right here on the dotted line. Not, hey, I can get my leader on the phone and we could talk to you for 30 minutes one night this week. I can help you with any other questions you have. I could meet you for coffee, or I could just send you some more information and you could, troll it over, I guess, and I'll get back to you on Thursday. Always set up follow-up. That's the other thing. Always set up follow-up. Somebody asked me this week in this group, I do really well at talking about the business opportunity at my parties, but outside of that, I never reach out to 5 people a week, like about the opportunity. I never talk to the grocery store people. And that's the harder part. So if you can first get good at talking about the business opportunity in your demo and also at checkout, I like how Sonara last weekend said, lead with the business opportunity and fall back on a booking or an order, because that's going to work, right? That's just genius psychology of humans. But if you're looking for some special words to share the business opportunity outside of parties, guys, these are your special words. Are you ready? I was thinking of you today because, and then tell them the truth. I'm looking to grow a team in your area. And I just know that you had posted a couple weeks ago about your new camper and a bunch of things. And I'm not saying that you need extra income, but have you ever thought about doing something on the side, an organic food company, whatever you think matters. I was thinking about you today because you sold Wildtree 2 years ago and I haven't heard from you and I feel like I might have scared you away. Do you want to come back and try it again? I've said that to people because I do scare people away. Let's be real. In a good way, I hope I scare them away, like not actual scary. What else? Let me think on that and see, Tammy, if I can give you any more help. Okay, Jenny, I think you're the only one that's called in since. I gave everybody a chance to ask any questions. Did you have any questions right now that I could help you with? Otherwise, I have another.
I don't think so.
Okay, I have another one. Jacqueline on Jenny's team actually had asked me about vendor fairs. Is anybody here, just show of hands or say yes? Are you considering or do you have any on your calendar, a vendor event of any kind? Katrina's raising her hand. Okay, anybody else? Okay, Katrina, really quick. I talk to you pretty much weekly. We'll cover this then so I don't waste everyone else's time on this call. But if you're ever considering a vendor event, all I would ask you to check is just 3 things. Number 1, how long has it been around? Don't do a first ever vendor event unless you are totally okay with a first ever vendor event outcome. Does that make sense? Shake your head if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Number 2, cost. Gosh, I would never, unless it's Fondue Fest downtown Fond du Lac and they're promising me 20,000 people coming through, I would never pay more than $100. I don't even think I pay more than $50, to be honest. So be smart about what you're paying. Okay. And then second thing is it's not about the cash and carry. And I have to say that really big and be funny about it. Jacqueline will see this later and she'll laugh. It is so much more about building relationships, booking parties. In fact, Jenny knows this story, but I only know Jenny through a woman I met at Fondue Fest 2 years ago. So I went to a vendor fair, could have cared less what I sold, but it was all about meeting Caitlin, who led me to Jenny, who now led me to Jacqueline. And obviously the team's expanding. Does that make sense to everybody? So it's check how many years it's been in business or around, or how many years established this event is, the cost, and then worry least about the inventory and more about just, you could go there in an apron in a nice fancy outfit. I mean, not fancy, but dressed up. I say like no yoga pants, no sports bra, you get the gist, and an apron. And you could just stand there in front of a table that says Wildtree and you're going to do better than having tons of cash and carry, because cash and carry sometimes just sucks in the Wildtree lovers that already have a Wildtree rep and all they're coming to do is buy kids cheese from you. And that does nothing but just maybe give you some sales, which, okay, $9 in sales or a booking, so that's my little advice on that. I'm passionate about this because I spent way too much time. Things Kayla wished she would have known before. Don't waste time at vendor fair after vendor fair, little tiny dinky things. It's always better to do a party if you can. So Okay, there's that. Who else has something that they need covered? Otherwise, I want to cover just a few things before we end our time here tonight. I'm really respectful. 40 minutes is all I keep you, I promise.
You said something about Coconut Club before. What's that?
That is if you, and you're welcome to join, Sarah. You're invited. It is if you would like to go to Panama, if you're actively working towards the free trip. And the free trip, does everyone understand what the free trip means? Like how to get that, or at least basics, how to get that? Do I need to cover it? Somebody say yes, please just quickly cover it if I need to. No, doesn't sound like it. Okay. If you are interested if you're interested in trip tracking in any way, and again, everyone in that group isn't like Sarah, just so you know quick, everyone in the Coconut Club is not 100% even committed to it yet. They are trying to feel it out if it's something they can do. At what you've currently been doing, you're naturally trip tracking. So if you want to be at it, but if it's personally, I think it's another thing on your plate, and I would tell you to hold off for a little while and stay with this group first. And when this finishes off, if you guys all feel like you're on track, you can be added. It's not like there's not 100 notifications or anything, but I just don't know that it's something that you need on your plate right now. You're very busy.
Yep.
Maybe this summer. So, okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Who else has a question for me? Okay. So can I be real with you guys for a little bit here in the last 10 minutes? Here's your training. Get a piece of paper and a pen.
Yes, got a pen.
Okay. So right about now, this is when the SHIT hits the fan, right? Because it's a short month and you realize really quickly where you're deficient in your business. Maybe you didn't have, the number of parties that you thought you would, or maybe you're having a great month, but you're looking at March or April and you're thinking like, oh crud, like I don't have enough on my calendar yet, or I'm just not getting this recruiting thing. Like I've got some leads, but I'm not getting them, to get on the orientation call. This is always the point in the month about between the 15th and the 20th that I have this reality check with myself. So I had my own reality check today. And if you've had that in the last week of like, you're analyzing and you're going, oh my gosh, like, yay, this is awesome. Or, oh my gosh, this isn't so good. That's totally normal. And a good leader is reviewing by this point where they're at. So you leave yourself in a typical month, 11 days, if you're checking it by the 20th, to figure out what you need to do to hit leader numbers and, or just hit your goals. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, good. I see head shakes. Yes. This sounds really dumb, but this is a numbers game. We're in an industry where just like if you're selling cars and they give you a bonus if you sell 20 in a month, that's no different here. This month they're giving us an apron if you sell 2,000. And obviously you guys know if you're over 1,000, you get 29%. And if your team combined or you yourself is over 2,000 and you have a team member, then you get 32%. So there's all these different levels that you can be at, right? And so that starts to matter. And then on top of that, obviously you guys are aware, eventually you're going to be watching for that 3,500 volume and then the 2 bonus qualified people. So a little lesson for you is that by this point in the month, you should always be looking to see if you're on track. So here's what matters. If you are going to end the month at $960, that's not smart. So use the last 11 days of the month to get $40 in orders or get a friend to buy a workshop bundle or whatever. So you get the next percentage in pay. Does that make sense to everybody? I'm really not into buying your way up to the next level unless you're truly out of Wildtree, right? And then put an order in for yourself, take your discount. But if you are not out of Wildtree, you will never hear me say that you should buy your numbers. You won't. You just won't hear me say that. Okay, let's say you get close to leadership and you're $200 away from a leader promotion, you actually would lose money not buying the 200 versus spending the 200 to make 3 times that, if that makes sense. That's the only time I would tell you to spend it. And I would tell you to buy things that you can sell off for cash and carry easily. But that's why I tell you this all is that we need this chunk at the end of the month to be able to analyze as a team, you and I, and even this group now, to figure out what's going to be best for you. So that's my tip number 1. Please be aware of where you're at and pay attention so we can always make sure we maximize your commission and we can also help your team members. Sarah, I'm going to give you a huge kudos tonight. You have been so good at reminding me to help you. So there is one of me and about 200 of you and lots of newbies. And there's going to be even more newbies as you guys continue to share the business opportunity. And one thing that's hard about that sometimes is just my memory, right? Tracking with all of your newbies. And recently we've had several of them miss their fast start by 1 stinking day. And we, of course, can call into the home office, you guys, just so you know this. Home office honors it. If you call in and you tell them that your rep forgot to use their free shipping voucher, they'll let them use their free shipping voucher on the 36 day. Like Wildtree's amazing. But let's not get in the habit of that, or the Troutman org is going to look like we're just irresponsible. So something else I want to tell you is at that 11-day or 10-day mark or before the end of the month, you're also looking to make sure we're helping your team members. Does that make sense? Like, that's just a habit I want you to get into the habit of doing. Like, I check around this time to make sure, Sarah, you're at 14. I don't know what you're at. I'm not looking at it, but let's just say you're at 14. I'm going to cheer you on and say, okay, and your new rep had 200 or 300. You're so close to that 2,000. Are you going to hit it? It's not to be like, oh, Sarah, put in more sales because I have a secret motive. It's truly to help you. Does that make sense, everybody? Like, I want you to get in that habit for your team members as well and be their biggest cheerleaders so that I can continue to do big picture training, big picture level cheerleading and stuff, but that nobody feels like they didn't get that one-on-one attention like you guys get being my first line. Does that all feel good to everybody? Just shake your head or say yes. Awesome.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Another thing I wanted to share with you is whenever you start a group like this, we always lose one or two right off the bat. So that's normal. And it's not that we don't love them. So I just always will tell you, Danny messaged me this morning and she's decided that she just can only do 1 or 2 parties in a month. The business opportunity is just scaring the poop out of her. And she is so comfortable with just being a part-time rep right now. So I'm loving on her. And I'm just going to announce that so that if that happens, you don't all of a sudden think like, gosh, our group went from 8 to 3 people. Where'd they all go? Sometimes life just happens and they're crazy and they can't get on a Sunday, but sometimes they just choose a different path. Here's what I'm going to tell you. You just have to know in your heart that it's worth it for your family. So going back to that circle of prosperity that we talked about last week, the second thing I want you to write down from tonight, besides paying attention to the time frame each month, is that you have got to have a strong vision. Because if you do not have something that gets you up in the morning, you are not going to make it. That's the bottom line. You will be able to be a part-time rep for a while, but you will always struggle to keep your calendar full and share the opportunity as passionately as I do. Because here's the general thing. Eventually, at some point in my business, when I was working full-time, we bought this house. And this office, this marker board behind me, this nice dark woodwork like we dreamed of. I needed $1,000 a month minimum to make up the difference in the old mortgage to the new mortgage. Does that make sense? So when we came through this house, we almost didn't buy it because I was like, that's a lot of pressure. And I don't know, I don't like debt and I don't really want to do it. And Nate just looked at me and said, like, if you think you could cover it with Wildtree, we'd have no issue. Like, this wouldn't be an issue. And I was like, I don't know. So I made the decision to buy this house. Nate left it on my shoulders. I remember the day I made the decision. It was 2 years ago, almost to the day. And we bought this house. And that has always drove me. Then, fast forward a year and 2 months later, on April 15th of last year, I quit my job. And I made significant income to where we weren't going to have debt. We had nice vehicles. You guys get it, right? With a lot of sacrifices, trading in vehicles and other things. My why was upped incredibly. Like, it just became so strong. Like, I get a choice as to how I want to spend my Tuesday morning. I get to choose how much money I want to make, how hard I want to work. There are days like this weekend, guys, I hardly did any Wildtree. I'm not going to lie. Like, basically just messaging you. If you guys text me, that was like the extent of my weekend. That's okay. Like, I'm my own boss. I'll make it up this next week. Flexible freedom. So what I'm trying to say to you is, whether you want to make $100, whether you want to change 100 people's, lives in the next month, whether you want to take your kids to Disney, whether you want to be debt-free in 2017, like, you better pick something now. And that's the nicest way I can tell you, because if you don't, you will be the next people texting me in the coming weeks saying, I can't do this. And it's not that you can't do it. It's just that you don't know why you're doing it. I know. I'm going to cry. It's so that I can be home with Macaulay. And it matters to me that much that I will make calls, or I guess that's why I fearlessly share the business opportunity, because I think it's the coolest thing ever that on Tuesday morning, I'm going to learn about the stars, moon, and whatever at my mom's class. Like, how cool that I get to do that. And I still make an income from home. So there's my little spiel. That's all I have to tell you this week, because that needs to fuel you to figure that out and then start to work so that, Katrina, like you said, your March and April gets stronger now that you've figured out where you've been deficient. Vicki, you know already where you've got events. You just need to figure out, maybe there's another Facebook party you can throw in earlier in March. I don't know your schedule, but giving you ideas, right? Like, that why will drive you to go that little extra edge, that little bit of like, I don't really want to ask this person about the business, but I know they'd be dang good on my team. Okay, I'm going to do it. Or I've already asked them 3 times and they don't get back to me. I'm going to ask them one more time. Like, that's the difference in success. So knowing that, is there any other questions or thoughts before, if we have a couple minutes before it kicks us off? I cannot stress enough. Like, it sounds so crazy. You might be on this call tonight going, this is what I called in for on a Sunday night, but I'm so serious, you guys. You have to have a why. Does anyone feel like they have that figured out, or that they don't have it figured out? Jenny,
I have
Sarah?
things written down, but like I have a paper here right now. What is my vision? And I have debt-free college tuition for Olivia, a new house, family vacation. So
Okay. So
I
does
mean,
that fuel you to get up and work? Like, obviously it does, because you're doing the work. So, I mean, I'm guessing that those are like, you're starting to see that big picture. I'm putting words in your mouth. So I'm guessing that's true. Is that how you're feeling? Like, yeah, this is making me want to work harder.
I guess it's just that I mean, I've had goals before, but not like financial visions like this. And it's almost like, oh my gosh, is there such a thing as a new house? And we have so much debt, and oh my gosh, are we ever going to get out of it? And I don't know. It feels not weird. I don't know. I guess it's hard to explain because I don't even know how to explain it myself.
Okay. I love that you shared at spring kickoff that this would be a total change for your, like, generation after generation, right, has lived paycheck to paycheck. And that's okay. We're not looking at your family, Sarah, like you're a poor family. It's just truth, right? Like, in the American society, it's so common to work your whole your whole life for somebody else to earn a living, to live paycheck to paycheck. It's so true. And you do a great job managing your finances, and you do a great job loving on your daughter and being such an advocate in your community. I just want to say that money doesn't change that. You're doing an amazing job with what you have. But I love that, like, you're just sharing the real struggle. And that's why having a vision is important. So even if, like, it doesn't have to be Panama, you guys, if the free trip doesn't motivate you, who cares? The free trip never motivated me, and still doesn't right now, to work. Like, that's just a perk. And I want to have it by conference, just be able to say up on stage, I earned the trip by conference, but that's it. Like, honestly, I could care less. Like, I love to travel, but that is not what makes me do Wildtree. The coolest thing is when my hostess today says, like, oh my gosh, you were so funny. Like, my friends loved you after you left. Like, we had a great time. And that is why I do it. And then to pay my bills, obviously. So, like, know what your why is, and all the rest can be noise and it can be fun. But I just can tell you from watching some of my really good Wildtree friends struggle and not earn the trip this year for the first time in years, they really had a hard time with change, and they lost sight of their why. Because when Wildtree changed so many awesome things in 2016, it was hard for a lot of people. And if you don't have a good why, when they're throwing out these new workshop kits that you guys all love, they're pre-boxed and whatever. Well, us old school people were used to a different system, and it to some felt like easier than just learning this new way to go. And when you lose sight of that vision, there's like 6 of my really good Wildtree friends not going on this trip. And they know exactly why. Like, they're not quitting or anything, but they've had to totally revisit that circle of prosperity. Why are they with Wildtree? Socialize it out loud, get to work, and they're already back on